It's deadline day. Welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. This is my road to deadline day timeline. I'm going to give you my live thoughts to everything that happens surrounding Oxford United in and out. 2 players have already joined the football club, both on permanent deals. We'll talk about the outs as well, because we have seen 3 players leave the club. But most importantly, today is deadline day, and it is currently 38 minutes past 6. We've just had our second signing confirmed. Of course, no signings across January until deadline day. So happy about that. Marcus Browne joins the club on a permanent deal. Of course, 2 loan spells at Oxford United prior to now a permanent spell, more than hopefully a spell, a 2.5-year contract with an option of a further year on that contract. And on that deal, really happy about that. And also, someone with an amazing name. If you've watched the podcast for a while now, you'll know I cannot pronounce names. I've got away with it for a while because Oxford United have players that have fairly simple names. We've now signed an Irish lad, and I simply can't pronounce it. I'm going to go with Smyth. The first name, I'm not going to risk it on the first episode. I'm really not going to risk on the first episode to try and pronounce his first name. Great name, simply can't pronounce it. But he's joined the football club, of course, from Ireland, top flight Irish team, 3.5-year deal, a midfielder, young lad, 21 years of age. Really excited about this sort of signing. Again, a midfielder that comes into the side as well, who can grow. And we've got a really good track record at Oxford United when it comes to bringing players in from Ireland. We talk about McNally, we talk about Sykes, we talk about Gavin White, we talk about even Anthony Ford to an extent. Joel Cooper has just gone out on loan as well, and we'll come on to, of course, the outs in just a second. Really excited about that deal. Don't know too much about him. Not going to sit and pretend I do know a lot about him, really. I'm hearing more of a box-to-box midfielder, someone that's going to work hard, really high work rate, which, again, suits the system really well. We know Carl Robinson likes to bring in players with that high work rate who can play this high intensity pressing style of play. Of course, it's good to see that Oxford United are bringing players in, and we always tend to do that, bring players in that fit a style. It's so important you do that, and I think Smyth comes into this side and certainly does that. So like I said, not going to pretend like I know loads about him, but really happy about that. We needed a midfielder, a young lad, 21 years old. Lots of rumours of him going to other clubs as well, but we've managed to, I think, win the race for this sort of signing. Really happy with that. Again, time will tell on what he can do, because again, like I said, I'm not going to pretend and sit here and know and I know a lot about him, but I think it's a really good signing, and again shows this. With these 2 permanent signings, and of course we'll come on to Marcus Browne in a second, it shows the intent. It shows, I think, the desire for this football club to improve and not rely on loan players. A lot of people say, we've signed these players, they're just loan deals. These aren't loan deals. These are permanent signings, which is really exciting. Of course, we've got to talk about Marcus Browne. Of course, that was announced earlier in the day as well. I'm just recording this straight after the Smyth deal has been announced. Of course, I've been busy during the day. It got released, I believe, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Marcus Browne, again, from what Carl Robinson has said as well, this deal was done about 5 days ago. We know there's a heavy links with Charlton. We believe they pulled out of that deal at the last minute, and Oxford United saw that opportunity, swooped in. We know we always have interest in Marcus Browne when he's not at our football club, and he's now joined on a permanent deal as well. So really happy about that signing. He brings so much. He's a danger to oppositions. He can play in a real variety of positions. And if we don't go and get a striker, which I think is something that a lot of people want to see, we know now Marcus Browne, he's not a familiar striker, if you like. It's not his favourite position. It's not his strongest position, I wouldn't say. But he certainly can play there. He can also play in midfield as well. He offers that versatility. He's powerful. He's strong. He's got a really dangerous play. Great trickery as well. Really excited to see what Marcus Browne can come and do as well. Of course, he hasn't played football for actually about a year because of this ACL injury, which of course, really bad injury in football. I think I still trust a 24-year-old who we know is a really good player. He's hungry. He loves Oxford United. He's been here before, and I'm really excited to see what he can offer. Lovely to hear that Oxford United have made that deal permanent and have got that over the line. And deadline day so far really is quite positive. Quickly, briefly, on the outs as well. Dan Agyei, of course, has left the club on a permanent deal to Crewe. My thoughts on that? I get it. And I like Dan Agyei. I think he's a really good lad. But unfortunately, good personalities, good lads, they don't keep you at football clubs. And that's just the way it is. I like Dan Agyei, like I said. Great personality. And in previous years, he's been really quite impactful, especially off the bench. This season, not so much. Clearly, he didn't want to be at the club. He wanted to play minutes. Crewe were interested. Permanent deal, undisclosed fee. We got money for it. Classic Oxford United not saying how much we got for a player, but it's good to see that we did get something from that deal. And again, at the same time, he needs to be playing games. And from a personal perspective for Dan Agyei, you can understand the move. From an Oxford perspective, someone who's not playing games of football, it can free up room in the registration list as well for Oxford United. Then allow to us to bring players in. I get this sort of deal. We wish him all the best, of course we do. He's a really good guy. But again, he's left the football club for an undisclosed fee to Crewe Alexandra. Alexandra, of course, League One rivals for Oxford. Jordon Thorniley's been recalled, something that, again, we thought would happen. A lot of links surrounding that going to happen maybe earlier than we thought. In the end, of course, he did actually play a game against Sheffield Wednesday. Then on the Monday night, he got recalled. Maybe there was a bit of hope from an Oxford United perspective that because he played against Sheffield Wednesday, maybe that permanent deal, and maybe the reports were off, and maybe that was false news, and maybe that was just Blackpool trying to push Oxford United into making a permanent deal. It looks like, and it definitely is now, that's off. He's left the club. He's been recalled for Blackpool, which does now make, when we'll come on to the links in a second about finding a centre-back and a left-back cover, or left-sided centre-back, left-footed centre-back, whatever you want to call it. That's something now that I think in deadline day, the last few hours of deadline day, of course, it's just gone. It's just about to hit quarter to 7 on deadline day now. So it's really important that I think that's the next position we start filling in. Again, we've got some links to some really exciting players that I think can play that position. But we wish Jordon Thorniley the best as well. Joel Cooper's left as well to Port Vale. Not much to say on that other than we need him to play games. We need him to play minutes in League 2. Happy with that. To be fair, really happy with Joel Cooper going and play football. Again, for Joel Cooper, he hasn't been given minutes. He hasn't been given the game time that maybe he would have wanted. But, places in this Oxford United squad are very, very competitive. And you've got to be playing minutes to try and keep your shirt. And he hasn't been able to do that. He hasn't been able to keep his shirt. Of course, joined the football club, I believe, in the summer of last year. But ultimately and unfortunately, he didn't really settle in as well as we think he could have done. And I think a few family issues, personal issues off the pitch have ended up with him going back to Linfield on loan. Of course, the mental health and the importance of players' mental state is the most important thing, much more important than football. So you can understand why he moved back to Ireland, then coming back this season, of course, struggled for game time. So him going on loan to League 2, it makes sense. He's going to develop, hopefully. He's going to play a lot of games. Port Vale are a side that, again, I think we trust Port Vale. They're doing well this season, top half of League 2. So happy with that signing. Really, really exciting for Port Vale. But Joel Cooper, I think it's exciting as well because it allows him to play games of football, and that's the most important thing. Like I said, it's just hit quarter to 7 on deadline day, and from what we're hearing and from the reports that I'm hearing, there is more business going to happen at Oxford United. This won't be the only update that you get from me this evening. Of course, I'm going to put this all together, create a timeline of events for this deadline day, and hopefully I will be back to give you some more updates as this deadline day develops at Oxford United. Some brief links to go off as well. Hayden Roberts is a loan deal from Brighton. Apparently we're linked with him as well. A centre-back, left-sided centre-back as well. Can also play at left-back. So again, you can see why that is. That might be a little bit of, I guess, just looking at a position we need and looking at a player that might be available on loan and putting 2 and 2 together. I don't know how certain that sort of deal is. The reports, again, you've got to be careful where you get these sources from. But that is a player we're linked with, so I think it's fair that I let that know. And at the moment, that's where I stand. Of course, you'll know when watching this whether or not we did get Hayden Roberts. But I can't see that one, if I'm being honest. I don't think Hayden Roberts is the player we're going to go for. Danny Hilton, a really different one, this one. Of course, a player that's been at Oxford United before. That is the same Danny Hilton, now 32 years of old. Of course, he's at Luton, and he's a striker who, again, a position we are heavily linked with. So, understand where that's coming from. Do we want to be signing a 32-year-old? I don't know. There's a 32-year-old at the moment that's knocking about. Actually, I think he's 35. He's a little bit older, but in his 30s. Jermaine Defoe. Who would I prefer, Jermaine Defoe or Danny Hilton? I think one would be more easier to sign, Danny Hilton. But again, we're looking at the short-term project. We've got to look at the long-term project as well. That'll be really, really interesting. But Danny Hilton has been linked with the club. I don't know whether or not that's going to happen tonight. But of course, a striker is a very, very, I guess, clear position Oxford United is still going to be looking at. Although, like I said, Marcus Browne offers that versatility. Maybe that's the thinking behind bringing Marcus Browne to the football club. And finally, one I think that is looking more and more likely as this night goes on, it's Kieran Brown, left-back and centre-back, who's at Cardiff City at the moment. It would be a loan deal, I believe. This one looks quite likely. It's a fairly reliable source. Again, it makes sense. It's a loan deal, a 24-year-old as well. Robinson doesn't really like bringing in players sort of 21, 19, I guess in that range from big Premier League clubs. He likes to bring in players if they're going to come on loan, 24, 25, maybe a little bit older, on loan, a bit more experience at this level or at a higher level. Kieran Brown ticks that box. Cardiff City, a team, of course, playing the Championship this season. He's not getting the sort of minutes that he wants, and a loan move could be on the cards. Again, positionally, this deal makes sense. Out of the three of those, again, they are all different positions. Out of the three of those, I think Kieran Brown's the most likely. But again, you'll know by the time you're watching this if I'm right there. And that's the update so far. Like I said, it's about to hit 10 to 7 now. We've only got a few hours left for deadline day. The reports are flying in. The excitement's flying in. We're hearing at the moment there will be more deals at Oxford United. So keep your notifications. And I'm going to have to keep my notifications on as well. because I think there's going to be more business. Oxford United and Carlson early in his interview said, we want to try and bring some more players into the football club before the end of the window. I think it might be 4 in total. So that means we've probably got, as of recording, 2 more to go. Let's hope we can do it. It's going to be a busy deadline day. I hope to see you. I hope to be talking to the camera again before the end of by the end of the night, because it means we've done some more business or we've wrapped up for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not goodbye. It's going to hopefully be see you in a minute. So it's just hit 8 o'clock on deadline day. I hope to be coming back to talk about some maybe players coming into the club. Unfortunately, some sort of breaking news, some advances, exclusive news from the Football Insider, a pretty reliable source, that Wigan Athletic have made a beat the deadline bid for Oxford United midfielder Mark Sykes. He's in the final 6 months of his contract, and it remains to be seen if Oxford will decide to cash in. I've looked at the article. It looks as though they really are looking to push this one over the line. Really quite disappointed if Oxford United decide to do this. Of course, we want to just try and see Mark Sykes sign a contract. We don't really want to be looking at him leaving the football club, and certainly don't want to be looking at getting rid of him now in January, a real crucial part of the season. We know how important Mark Sykes has been. We know how adding goals to his game this season has been so important for Oxford United. And I think selling him now, I know he's out of contract at the end of the season, but hopefully for Oxford, we can keep hold of him now. I've got that time between now and next summer, where we can look at extending that contract, because we know how vital, we know how important he has been to Oxford United so far this season. Not the news I wanted to be bringing you at 8 o'clock. Nothing officially from sort of Oxford United, and no official deal at all over the line, but it's certainly a rumour. Again, I hope we don't have to speak about this again. I hope the next time I come on, that's completely brushed over, and that's quickly brushed under the carpet, and we can move on to bringing some more players in. Hopefully 2 more players are going to be joining the club, but I said I'll be giving all the news across deadline day as it happens. I'll be reacting to it. It looks as though Wigan Athletic have put in a beat the deadline bid for Oxford United midfielder Mark Sykes. Of course, not long to go now. Not long to go. We really don't want to be looking at getting rid of Mark Sykes at this point in the window. But anything can happen on deadline day. Do I think it's going to happen? My gut feeling says I don't think it will. Oxford United and Carlson in particular has been very, very certain and very, very clear with what he said. With no intentions of selling players. It's not what we want to do on this deadline day. It's about recruiting players on this January transfer window deadline day. But like I said, anything can happen. Anything can happen in football. But hopefully this is not the case. But that's the news. And hopefully the next time I speak to you, we've got some players coming in and we can put that Mark Sykes news to bed. So it's just gone 9:30 on deadline day, 9:34 to be exact. I'm getting a little bit tired now, I'm not going to lie. But we've got a bit of an update from the football club. 90 minutes to go until the window slams shut. A few things are still up in the air. We thought there'd be 2 more players after the first 2 signings we signed on deadline day. We thought there'd be 2 or 3 more. I think what we're hearing at the moment is it probably will be at least 1, maybe 2. And I'll read what we've got a bit of an update from the sources around Oxford United has sort of been getting the bottom to what, again, has been a very, very busy January transfer window. We believe still at just gone 9:30. There's still going to be action. There is still people at Oxford United working really, really hard to get the final 1, maybe 2 deals over the line. Like I said, I get a little bit tired now, and I've only been doing about 3 different sort of clips for this episode, so hopefully you're enjoying it. But the update at the moment says we understand that United are working on 1 deal. That's 1 deal. It's believed to be for the Cardiff City defender Kieran Brown. Of course, we mentioned Kieran Brown so earlier on in this episode. I mentioned it about 2 hours ago. It was someone that sort of I guess was quite linked to the club, but not heavily. I think there is now heavy links with him coming to the club. A left-sided player, left-sided centre-back. Hasn't played a lot of games for Cardiff City this season. Looking for a loan move. Like I said, I can see this one happening. I think I said it. There's a few players linked. I think it was Hayden Roberts who was linked as well. I did say this, for me, feels like the player Oxford United will go for. A 24-year-old player who hasn't been getting enough game time this season, but still enough footballing experience at this level and even higher than that, higher than League One, coming into the club on a loan deal. This one feels like the one that I think Oxford United are going to do. A loan move, it seems to be. So a fairly straightforward, or a more straightforward deal to complete than a permanent signing. The other update here is Carlson suggested earlier that there were more signings to come, trying to find out the state of play there. So again, even though it says we're still working on 1 deal, of course, Carlson did mention earlier in that press conference or in that sort of update on deadline day, there could be 2 or 3 more players coming to the club after the sign of Browne and Smyth. So again, 2 signings already in the door. Definitely 3 I feel will come for a guarantee. maybe 4. I think we are still going to look into that as well. I think we will see a bit more an update on the potential 4th signing. If not, though, I think it will definitely be 3. I think Kieran Brown's a signing. I think Oxford United will definitely go and do. I think if it's a loan deal that Oxford United feel that they can go and do, I think this deal could be, like I said, fairly straightforward to complete. Again, I'm completely outside information on that, but I feel like a loan move could be much more easier to complete on deadline day than a permanent signing. The final point here is Wigan Athletic reportedly submitting a late bid for Mark Sykes, but the Athletics appear to be closing in on St Mirren midfielder Jamie McGrath. Assume that would impact the Sykes' interest. So again, like I said, the last sort of clip we did, Mark Sykes had just had sort of a huge rumour really from Wigan suggesting that they're going to come in and put a late bid in. We're presuming that that's been rejected. Again, we had Cameron Brannagan bids at the start of the day, actually, reports there. And now, of course, Mark Sykes about half an hour ago to an hour ago. Again, if they're going for Jamie McGrath, a midfielder, and they look fairly comfortable in getting that deal done, I think naturally that Mark Sykes deal now is going to slowly, I think, calm down. Whether or not there actually was a late bid for Mark Sykes, of course, we'll never know. Of course, it was simply just reports. We knew there was interest from Mark Sykes, I guess, through the whole of the January transfer window. So that's why it's not so much of a surprising report at all. But they're really, at the moment, I think we're at the moment in a position now where I think we definitely could get one signing over the line. Could we get another one? I'm not entirely sure. Again, I think Kieran Brown will be joining the football club, and hopefully the next time we speak, that will be official. Again, it looks like they're still looking to be, they're still trying to work on that deal, which suggests it's still way off. But like I said, we've now got 80 minutes until the January transfer window slams shut, so they need to be a little bit quicker if they're going to try and get a second deal over the line, unless, of course, that has already been done, and the Kieran Brown deal is the one that only needs that work. Maybe the other ones had already been completed. I simply do not know. I doubt it, though. I think Kieran Brown is the one that they're really trying to push on now. I think that's the one we're going to try and get. And if we don't get anyone else, then I think we can be fairly happy with that. Another statement just come here. Carmson also said earlier, I predict it could go all the way. A lot will depend on whether certain deals fall away or reignited. You've got to be ready to react. Only 2 deals done. What about Carmson talking about earlier at about 1 o'clock? All I can say is we've been told not to go to bed yet. So I mean that's a very, very clear statement from the football club or from Carl Robinson himself. All I can say is we haven't been told to go to bed yet. So very, very clear there. I don't think the deals are done at Oxford United. I think it's going to be Kieran Brown and potentially somebody else coming to the football club. That's the update at now 20 to 10 here at this timeline of Oxford United deadline day. Getting a bit more tired, but hopefully we can see a guaranteed, confirmed signing in the next one. But that's the update so far here at 20 to 10. So that's it then. The January transfer window for this season has come to an end. It's just hit 11 o'clock, and Oxford United, in the end, did make their third signing. It's not going to be 4 signings. I think Carl Robinson sort of suggests there could be one other, but it's not. It's one more signing. But we said, as long as we keep hold of these players, we've of course had the Sykes rumour happen. I believe that might be the last clip for you, and the clip before that, a bit of a late bid for Wigan we were hearing. That, of course, has gone to bed. It is believed, though, that Oxford United did have to reject 2 bids for both Mark Sykes and Cameron Brannagan on deadline day. I believe it might have been 1 each or 2 each for both of those players. Either way, there were bids rejected for those 2 players. But thankfully, Oxford United looks like they're in a different direction in terms of running the club, and especially in the recruitment area. They're really backing Carl Robinson in this January transfer window and not forcing him to sell players, and also really backing him in terms of incomings as well. Of course, a very, very slow start to this January transfer window, but Kieran Brown is the 3rd signing for Oxford United, the 3rd and final signing for Oxford United on this January transfer window. And I mean, I'm really happy with it, really. A lot of people say, well, how do I think about it? What do I really think about this sort of signing? I like it. I really do. I think he brings something different to Oxford United as well. He's a different sort of player we're coming in, a more physical, more gritty, but strong. What's it house sort of defender, someone that's really going to be, I think, going to be a different threat for us as well. I think he's going to be really tall. I think he's going to be good for a set piece, but I also think he's going to be really dominant. And we've now got 2 players. We've got him and Elliot Moore, 2 really quite tall players as well, and McNally in that depth as well. We've got a really quite tall back line. They're going to be better at, hopefully, attacking set piece, but also defending them as well. Really good. He's a left-sided centre-back, and he's left-footed as well, which is even more exciting. He also can play left-back as well. So he's the perfect player when it comes to our defensive reinforcements that we were talking about. We knew we needed to bring some defensive reinforcements in. Jordon Thorniley, of course, was recalled for Blackpool. He could play left back. He could play left centre back. Well, this player can do that. And that's really, really exciting from our perspective and from an Oxford perspective. We've managed to get a player in that fits the bill absolutely brilliantly. And I think something that Carl Robinson said that really intrigued me as well was these 3 players that we signed on deadline day, they don't just tick a box. They're more than just ticking boxes. Of course, they are. They do tick boxes as well as they are players that are going to come in. And in terms of the areas that we highlighted at the start of the window that we definitely did need to recruit, they do tick those boxes. But I think they're more than that. I think what Carl Robinson means by that is they're different personalities. They're different types of people that I think are going to integrate into this squad and going to make this a stronger squad in terms of personality, in terms of. I think as a team together, I think they've got a really, really good unit, and they're going to add to that as well because they have to fit the culture, they have to fit the philosophy, they have to fit the personality groups that we've got at this football club. And I think bringing these 3 players in, what he means by that is they're not just ticking boxes when it comes to highlighting areas that we needed to bring in. They also fit that culture as well, which is really, really important. And sometimes you've got to look at culture more than you have got the ability. It's even better if you can do both, and I do believe that all 3 of these players can do both of those things. So Kieran Brown, ultimately, he's on loan, I should say that. He's on loan from Cardiff City until the end of the season. He's 24 years old. He's a full international with 3 caps in Northern Ireland. And he can play left-sided centre-back and as a left-back. A few things on Robinson. He said he fits the bill nicely for us. He's tall, powerful, reads the game well, and can play in a couple of positions. Again, that's like I said there. He's very, very powerful, very, very tall, a real threat aerially. And also, again, like I said, the versatility of playing left-back and left-sided centre-back. Really, really good. Again, a really, really good box ticked. So really happy that Kieran told us. I'm looking forward to it. Oxford are doing well in the league, and I spoke to Gavin White and Curtis Nelson, of course, who's at Cardiff as we speak, and they have nothing but good things to say about the club and the fans. So I'm really excited to be part of that. So yeah, 3 signings on deadline day. Ciaron Brown, Oisin Smyth and Marcus Browne. Really, really happy with those 3 signings. And I think generally we find ourselves in a really, really good position. In terms of rounding up this deadline day, and I mean January transfer window episode of the podcast for Oxford United, am I happy with this window? Yes, I am. I am really, really happy with it. I know we could have maybe had one more signing. We could have had a 4th signing. We maybe could have had an out-and-out striker come into the club. But I think Marcus Browne will offer us that. We know he can play as a centre forward. The only negative with that signing is it's going to take him a little while, I think, to sort of I'm not settle in as such because he's been here before, but I think physically settle in because he's got to get back into the rhythm of things. And I think that's going to be something that we need to see from Marcus Browne. That's going to sort of be a rehab phase. Of course, he hasn't played football in a while because of the ACL injury, a really difficult injury for a footballer to come back from. So that rehab structure and that rehab program will need to be put into place. But I think when Marcus Browne's back, and when he's firing, we know the quality, we know the danger, and he can play as that striker as well. So I don't think that's the end of the world. If you didn't know, Defoe's just signed for Sunderland as well in the dying hours of the January transfer window. I should say dying minutes of the January transfer window. He's gone back to Sunderland, so that deal, of course, is completely off now. We've gone down a different route, if you like, there. With Kieran Brown, like I've mentioned there, really happy with it, really, really exciting with that. Again, he fits the bill, like Robinson said, absolutely brilliantly. So a 24-year-old, played at a higher level before as well. Like I said, full international. Really, really happy with that signing. I get it, I understand it, and I think that's a really, really good addition to this Oxford United squad. And finally, I don't want to put too much pressure on this young lad because, again, he's 21 years old and he's somebody that has had to make some really big changes in his life because of moving from Ireland to England. It's the first time he's done that, and for a young individual, that's a really, really difficult thing to do. Moving away, moving from your family, moving to Oxford, moving to England, a different country, it's going to be really, really quite difficult for him. And I think, I really, really hope it. I really, really hope it works. Ultimately, of course, I do. I hope that every signing we do works, but this one in particular, because I'm not going to lie, this is my favourite signing of the 3 of them. This is my favourite signing of the 3 of them, and that might surprise a few people because I know how much of a Marcus Browne fan everybody is, and I'm one of those. Don't get me wrong, I love Marcus Browne. He's done great things for Oxford before, and he's back, so I'm buzzing about it. Do not get me wrong, and I love all of these signings in different ways, really, individually. Kieran Brown, I like that. I haven't seen him before, but I'm intrigued to see what he can offer, and I'm really excited and I'm really, really happy we got that deal done. But with Oisin Smyth, I think it's a little bit different. I think this is a young lad who, and again, I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about him. I'm not going to put any more added pressure on what, again, is naturally a very pressured situation. But I'm really, really excited about this sort of signing. 3.5-year deal, a player, like I said, that not many people know about, but I think I think the football club have been looking at this deal for a while. I think that it's been pretty confirmed that has been the case. A lot of clubs were in for him as well. A lot of other clubs were interested in him. Some top clubs interested in him. And he looks really, really quite good. Again, he fits the bill really, really well. A young, under-21 international, 3.5-year deal as well. So it's a nice long-term signing. I really like this one, and like I said, I'm not going to put any more pressure on it, but I think this is going to come in. I think he's going to join a squad, and again, he's fit, he's ready to go. I don't think he's going to be a first team starter probably for a while. I don't think he is, but again, he really, really is such a talented player. And again, I don't know a lot about him. From what I'm hearing from players from people in Northern Ireland and from doing my research, he's got a really, really high ceiling when it comes to a player. So that really, really excites me. Carlson told us about Oisin Smyth. He said he's very much wanted for the future. He's still very raw and will have to make the adjustment to full-time football, but he's a very impressive young man who clearly wants to come here, learn and make his mark. He's a good footballer and we look forward to working with him and seeing him develop. So like I said there, he's not going to come in and be a starter. He's just simply not. He's not going to come in and play week in, week out. I hope it doesn't turn out, and I wish, again, we wish Joel Cooper the best as well. We did speak about him at the start. I hope it's not that sort of deal. I really hope this is not that sort of deal where we bring him in and it's difficult and he doesn't really get minutes, he doesn't really get the opportunities, and then he sort of just goes out on loan and we don't see him again. I hope he comes in and he can make a mark. I hope he can come in and he can push that first team stuff. I know it said he's one for the future, and at 21 you always will be one for the future, but I really, really hope he can come in, make his mark, and actually offer us something this season. I want him to do that this season because I don't really want it to turn into a situation where he doesn't play a lot this season, he goes out on loan, we don't really see him again. I don't want that to happen. I like this sort of player. I think Oxford United got to develop him really, really well. They've got to do it cleverly. They can't rush into it. I'm not saying that. But they've got to make sure the development programme is there in place for him to be successful. And I really hope Oxford United can do that because I don't think we want to waste this sort of talent. I don't think Oxford United can afford to waste this sort of talent. The clubs that are interested in Oisin Smyth, I don't think we want to do that at all. Oisin Smyth, should I say. I'm gonna push that name every single time until I know exactly how to say it. So yeah, really, really happy with it, and I'm looking forward to see what can happen with him. And I'm absolutely buzzing to see what's going to happen there. And like I said, he's controversially probably my favourite signing of the three because we probably know least about him, but he's such an exciting, raw, but I think endless room for potential. So it's really excited for it. On the whole, what am I giving this Oxford United transfer window? If I was going to grade it out of 10 now, we did it at the start. We did it a few weeks ago. We did an episode, and I think the average score was about 2.5. We kept everybody. We kept everybody that we wanted to keep, and we've brought in 3 really good additions that are going to offer 3 really different things to this Oxford United squad for the future, but also for the rest of this season as well. So I'm going to go and say we got it an 8 out of 10. I think 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think that's fine. The only thing holding us back may be the perfect signing, the perfect finish would probably be an out-and-out striker. Could we have got hold of a Cole Stockton, who I don't think we were ever in for? Could we got hold of a Danny Hilton? I don't, maybe a short-term fix. Maybe that could have been a good little option. Maybe Jermaine Defoe. But again, they're really short-term fixes. Other than Cole Stockton is, 28? The other 2 are really short-term fixes. Do we want to go back in for a Danny Hilton? I don't think we really would want to. Should you go in for a Jermaine Defoe? I don't think he was ever going to come to Oxford. I think, if Sunderland wanted him, I think he was always going to go back there as a romantic, poetic signing. So maybe we could have looked at another striker or an out-and-out striker that maybe could have pushed out to the perfect window. But I think for Oxford, it was also about retaining players, and we did just that, and also bringing in 3 really good additions to this Oxford United squad. Of course, I will do my normal video where I rank every League One team's transfer windows, January transfer windows, and put them in a tier list. So if you're looking forward to that episode, that should be going out tomorrow for you watching this right now. So hopefully looking forward to that. I'm about to record that next. So yeah, really happy with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. A little bit different today. I'm going to go to bed now. Hopefully it's something a little bit different. And you enjoy this sort of updates as I know them on this deadline day. Really, really exciting stuff. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the recent support. We've just hit 700 subscribers on deadline day as well. So absolutely buzzing for that. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, stay safe. And I'll see you all very, very soon. See you in a bit.